Hello everybody, welcome to the podcast. I'm RJ. My first time doing this solo, and I believe, hopefully this is the 12th episode, but sadly it's probably the 11th. If you're wondering why I'm saying sadly it's probably the 11th, because for the 10th episode I really want to do a Q&A, and we'll see if we're doing that, because I just released episode 8 today. So, right now, on the same day, I'm recording episode, hopefully, 12th, but probably 11th. Really sad. You know what I mean? I really want to do a Q&A episode, but I haven't got that many questions. Yeah. But if you guys want to do a Q&A episode for episode 20, please, you're welcome. Okay, well, maybe I am looking back at this, and I did do a Q&A episode. I'm like, okay, this is kind of weird. But, yeah, let's just, please, if you have any questions, email me or reach out to me on my Instagram, comment. Well, yeah, I release a post every time I release an episode. Sometimes other episodes, sometimes other times. So, this was my first time doing this solo. So please tell me how I did. Please give me some feedback. So today we're doing Jonah chapter 4. But before we get started, my thought on why people like podcasts is because you can multitask while doing a podcast. You can do two different things at the same time, and that's really nice. Like, I could listen to a podcast when I'm sleeping. It's definitely better than watching TV. And yeah, just podcasts can be really helpful, especially when you're trying to get some information, but you don't have time to sit down and watch something. You can listen to a podcast when you're working and stuff. And that, with Bible study, my friend, that's pretty nice. Yeah. But usually the time my patience wears thin is around 30 minutes. So I'm going to be trying to keep my episodes under 30 minutes now. That's just a shout out that I want to give. So another thing that I want to say is, so I've been thinking, and most podcasts retire, 90% of podcasts, I Googled this, just a quick Google, is the top thing that gives you the fast answers. Maybe this isn't true, but it says 90% of podcasters stop releasing their episodes before 3 episodes. Then the people that have gone through the first 3 episodes, the other 99% retire before 20 episodes. So when you get to 21 episodes of your podcast, you are the rare 1% of podcasters that make it that far. So my goal is to make it that far, because I want to be one of those rare podcasters. Because I just do. I mean, what podcaster doesn't want to be a rare podcaster? So without further ado, let's read Jonah chapter 4. And if you don't remember, we were doing our really weird cliffhanger thing, so I have to get into that. Oh, yeah, finally. Why, the reason that Jonah didn't want to go to Nineveh. Like, not everybody knows. Wow, okay. Well, let's read it and find out. And the reason is, okay, yeah, it was totally like low energy on purpose. But this was very displeasing to Jonah, and he became angry. He prayed to Adonai. Now Adonai, didn't I say that this would happen when I was still in my own country? That's why I tried to get away to Tarshish ahead of time. I knew you were a God who is merciful and compassionate, slow to anger, and rich in grace, and that you relent from inflicting punishment. Therefore, Adonai, please, just take my life away from me. It's better for me to be dead than alive. Adonai asked, is it right for you to be angry? Answer, no. Jonah left the city, and found a place east of the city where he made himself a shelter and sat down under it in its shade to see what would happen to the city. Adonai, God, prepared a castor bean plant and made it grow up over Jonah to shade his head and relieve his discomfort. So Jonah was delighted with the castor bean plant. But at dawn the next day, God prepared a worm, which attacked the castor bean plant, so that it dried up. Then, when the sun rose, God prepared a scorching east wind, and the sun beat down on Jonah's head so hard that he grew faint and begged he could die, saying, "I would be better off dead than alive." Dang, he really likes the concept of death. God asked Jonah, "Is it right for you to be so angry about the castor bean plant?" He answered, "Yes, it's right for me to be so angry that I could die." Adonai said, "You're concerned over the castor bean plant, which cost you no effort. You didn't make it grow. It came up in a night and perished in a night. So shouldn't I be concerned over the great city of Nineveh, in which there are more than 120,000 people who don't know their right hand from their left, not to mention all the animals?" Okay, so this is the chapter, and there's a lot. This is the final chapter, and there's a lot to talk about here, so let's get. Okay, so a lot of stuff. Chapter 4 is Jonah's second rebellion. And, okay, we can't judge God. Every alive human will be judged by God, by the law of Moses. So the God paradox is better summed up in Numbers 23 and 19, Exodus 33:19, and Romans 9:13 through 18. So let's go in and read those. Okay, so he replied, "I will cause all my goodness to pass before you, and in your presence I will pronounce the name of Adonai. Moreover, I show favor to whomever I will, and display mercy to whomever I will." Because this is the God paradox. What I mean is God's law. I mean, because as you see, Jonah, he was against God's law. He hated that God was so merciful. And this book sometimes messes with us, I feel like. I mean, there's some times where we're like, why is God showing mercy? Because it's like, sometimes when we're really mad at somebody, we're like, God's law is going to show against them. But then when we mess up, we're like, oh, mercy, mercy. So, I mean, this is Jonah's kind of like the whole thing about mercy. It's a whole thing about the concept, God's concept of mercy. There's always a spot to turn back to God, no matter where you are. I mean, in Matthew, it does say, somewhere in Matthew, I'm pretty sure in Matthew 30 something, it says that blasphemy is, like, unforgivable. What doesn't really make that much sense in the Bible, because, I mean, think about Saul. He was totally blaspheming God. I mean, there's people that are forgiven that blaspheme God, and this is what we've talked about this a lot. It's a strange topic. So there is other ones. There's Numbers 23:19. There's Romans 9:13 through 18. But you can look those up. I'm gonna encourage you to look them up. So let's continue. So honestly, Jonah really likes the concept of death. I mean, Jonah wants to commit passive suicide. Jonah wanted the God of his imaginings, a God that strictly judged pagan nations, but was merciful to Israel. What? That's out of the picture. Like, if you haven't, you might want to go back to the first part where I wrote down stuff about. There was a whole quote that I wrote down. I'm gonna go back to it. I'm not gonna read it, but it was definitely worth listening to. It was by Douglas Stewart. So please go back and listen to that episode. If you haven't, it's really worth listening to. Thank you for everybody that is listening to all of my podcasts. I mean, I really appreciate it, man. The thing is, Jonah would rather die than know the real God. Isn't that insane? Would rather die than know the real God. He is the only prophet ever built, but God did not punish him. Huh. People like us sometimes make up a picture of God that actually isn't really God. I'm going to say it one more time. People like us sometimes make up a picture of God that actually isn't really God. This is not quoted by me. This is something that Tom Bradford says, and I do feel like I agree with this. So, don't think I'm saying, this is from Tom Bradford. Tom Bradford said this. So, there was no reason for Jonah to be angry. This is what God keeps asking him. Are you angry? Are you angry? Why are you angry? Do you have the right to be angry? Because God asks his justification for rage, which is another way to put it. So God showed Jonah in Nineveh patience and mercy. He never punished Jonah. Jonah built himself a fortress, hoping God would go against the city. Maybe hoping that Nineveh would repent to their gods on repenting about worshiping that God. Because, maybe they would have. He wants to see Nineveh's destruction. This is just kind of another mindset problem that Jonah has. And, it's not just Jonah. This is stuff that a lot of people have in different mindsets. Maybe not as extreme, but this is kind of messing with some people. I feel like this, because I heard from the Bible Project, it says, this book is meant to mess with us, showing, and this book is creating a mirror of us. You know what I mean? So, verses 10 through 11 says, should I strike down the 120,000 humans or a simple castor bean plant? Because, on the scale, humans are the most important to God. Animals are the second, plants are the third, and then non-living things like rocks and sticks are the fourth. That's what I've heard, and I think that makes sense. So, would he rather strike down 120,000 humans or this simple castor bean plant? Nineveh was the work of God's hands, so he has the right to keep it intact or to strike it down, if that makes sense. So Jeremiah 45, 3 through 5, we're going to read. Woe to me now, Adonai has compounded my pain with sorrow. I am weary from groaning, and I can find no relief. Tell him that your son, that Yah says, I will tear down what I built up. I will uproot what I planted. Are you seeking great things for yourself? Don't. If you read Jeremiah, I'm going to talk to my parents. They've been reading Jeremiah. I actually think I should join. They're saying it's such a hard book to read. It's not, because translation, it's tense. It's like Jeremiah was a prophet on Israel's great downfall. Wait, maybe that was Elijah. But, there was this huge downfall with Jerusalem, and it was hundreds and hundreds of years God sending prophet after prophet trying to tell Jerusalem, please, come to me. I'm your God. Stop worshiping these other gods. But they would not listen. Jerusalem was at the point of no return. No return. That's when they were in exile by Daniel. I always feel really bad for Daniel, because, Daniel, Ezekiel, and some other prophets, because they were in exile for no reason. They were having to deal with their ancestors. God had a huge purpose for Daniel, but it's still kind of, I feel a little sad. God cares about humans most. He cares about animals too, but differently. God has plans for Nineveh. And here's the interesting thing. So, besides that, God cares about humans most, animals too, but differently. Like we were talking about, the scale, number 1, humans, 2, animals, 3, plants, and then 4 is non-living beings like rocks. That's God's scale of what he cares for, and that's what we're talking about. So anyway, God has plans for Nineveh. This is where it gets really funny, because later, Nineveh is to attack Israel for their rebellion, what is kind of hilarious. So he's sending Israel to save Nineveh, so Nineveh can take Israel captive. Man, that's something, because I mean, that's kind of funny. Yeah, and Nineveh was at a really bad point at that time, so if Jonah didn't come to get them on God's side, I think it might have been the end of Nineveh. Because, like we were talking about in the first episode, they've experienced famine, earthquakes. They were like at the bottom line, man. God's love for his creatures, great and small, in no way diminishes his divine justice. Said by Tom Bradford, which I myself feel like I agree with. So, the end of this chapter has no response of Jonah's. Hopefully, this means that Jonah recognized God's right. Because the final verse is, "So shouldn't I be concerned about the great city of Nineveh, in which there are no more than 120,000 people who don't know their right hand from their left, not to mention all the animals?" Or it's like, did Jonah answer it? What happened? And it never says anything else about Jonah in the Bible. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think it does. And the proper response for this would have been silence. And that's all we have for Jonah, for this chapter of Jonah. This is the end of Jonah. Thank you. We have got through 2 things of the Bible. We've got through a book of the Bible and all of King Solomon. So we have we have conquered 15 chapters of the Bible. 1 Kings 1 through 11, and then all 4 chapters of Jonah. So we've tackled 15 chapters of the Bible, and in this podcast, help us get through the entire Bible in this podcast. Please listen. Please share with a friend. Please share this with someone that you think it would benefit to. Thank you everybody for listening. Your support means the world to me, and I think that's all we have for today. Goodbye!